All right, welcome back. Talmin Legends Session 8. We just had a pretty traumatic experience where our game crashed in the middle of the session. So we might or might not be able to recover it. But in the event that we're not, this is where we were. The adventurers were in the first part of the cave under Crystal Shoals, fighting crabs. They went ahead and pushed through to the final part of the cave and discovered a pincer queen and a couple of her little pincer minions munching away. And so they attacked. And so it was epic. Terra said some things that hurt them. Jinshi did so much damage that it crashed my computer. It was beautiful. Valen broke his weapon. It's been a trying time for our adventurers. But with that, I forget whose turn it was. I think it's still Jin's. No, Jin did stupid, crazy damage that killed this thing. This thing's so the pincer
combat is technically over now.
Yeah, the combat is now technically over. You guys missed it, but it was epic. Okay, well with that, let's go ahead and end the combat sequence. Cue the music.
First thing, right off the bat, I will, sheath my sword. I'm fine. And I will run towards Felix, and I will grab my health potion, and I will give it to him, drop it on his lips, on his puka lips, on his furry lips.
All right.
Yep.
I assume you pick him up first, and then you hold him in your arms and feed him a little potion.
Yep.
It's a really touching moment.
Everything is going to be okay, little boy. And I will pat his head again.
After that, then Felix will suddenly just snap back to life. His green eyes just like shrunken down. He's just gonna go, oh, just rest in the back in his arm, just like, oh. So did we win?
Yeah, we did. That was rough, very rough actually. We are fine.
Sorry,
we are good.
Sorry about that, lads. I lost my step, and I thought I was quick enough to get under it, but it's a lot more quicker than I. Oh, and he's gonna look over at the mangled corpse and say, "Oh, which one of you did that?"
Veiling.
Oh,
Well, it was mostly me, at the very least.
I knew you could do strong magic, but I didn't know you could do something like that.
Well, just give it time, and I'm sure I can master even more powerful arcane spells. But I must admit, I couldn't have done it without Jinshi's weakening of its armor.
Felix is just gonna look over, tilt his head at Jinshi, and then over to Tara and say, "What's he having a giggle about?"
He's being silly. Jinshi took his frustrations out on the queen.
Oh.
It must be the bloodline.
Why don't we go on and take our frustrations out on something a bit more healthy, like at the tavern? That'd probably be better for you, Jinshi, wouldn't it?
Yeah, let's just head back.
Well, before we leave, we might as well take our pickings from this. I'm assuming it's a female, given its offspring, but I don't want to judge or make assumptions of creatures' genders. But perhaps we should harvest this creature. It's clearly unique. Also, is that a chest over there?
Right.
I don't know. Is it?
I think it is. I can't really tell right now. I'm gonna be honest with you all, lads. I'm a bit out of commission at the moment. I haven't taken a hit like this in, I would say about 10 years or so.
Well, I think you need to begin studying the arcane practice once you're licensed, of course, and then you could knock aside blows as easily as I have.
I never thought about trying to learn how to cast magics. I didn't think I could. I thought you had to be born with it, last I remember.
Well, there are certainly some that do require that kind of lineage, and it's certainly easier if you've got magic in your blood. But with enough time and a keen intellect, it's not impossible to learn the necessary arcane incantations and formulas to be able to cast spells.
Oh, I you know what? If I get some time, I'll take you up on that. Just not. Oh, not now.
No, you've got blood on your everything. Um, I'm
He's just looking down at himself.
he'll go ahead and to kind of aid in the what little way he can. Valen will go ahead and cast prestidigitation to kind of clean him up aesthetically, not medically. Um,
His clothes just feel
before
back to normal.
before taking a look at this pincer queen, kind of like getting up on like top of it a little bit. And in his own bit of frustration, he's just gonna start stabbing down at the thing with his cracked and broken rapier.
Are you trying to harvest it?
He will do that as well, yes, but after a quick little outburst of frustration because this rapier was somewhat important to him, and having it damaged by such a
Har-
hard ass is frustrating.
Harvest, but with malice.
Yeah, wishly harvest.
All right. Well, you guys find
Oh,
a pincer queen gauntlet. I can't see you, Valen. Would you step out of the pincer? There you go. So you gain a pincer queen gauntlet. You gain a pincer part, and as you crawl off of it, you feel the magical energy radiating off this creature as if it is a boss creature. And because it is a boss creature, it also drops
Nice speakers.
something off the wondrous table. So there you go. That's all in your inventory, Valen.
I will have a look at these newfound trinkets.
That was a good haul. You got two wondrous items on that.
Interesting. Well, as I mentioned, there is still a chest over yonder, as well as a couple of crates. I'm not sure what use creatures like these have for these kinds of things, or this perhaps was some kind of, I don't know, pirate's stash. Otherwise, I'm not entirely sure why a cave like this would be used for storing goods. But clearly, these things need them no longer.
you go ahead and look over at the chest. I'm still gonna be a minute. Oh,
All right.
On that note, I will reach down and
Check that one in front of you. Pincer parts and raw fish. Oh, is that not what you were doing? Oh, I assumed. I guess I'll give you the pincer parts and the. All right.
nice.
15 point. Yeah, there you go, Felix.
Felix will be able to finally cane with his sword and not tremble with his knees and just say, "Oh, that feels a lot better. Feel a little bit like my old self again.
There we go.
Thank you. Sorry if I gave you, Valen, and Jinji a bit of a scare. It wasn't what I was planning on."
I just kind of pat your arm. Well, none of us were planning on it, but things happen, and we were prepared. It was all right. Everyone's all right now.
None of us is really planning anything since we left Moon Harbor. But we are all good. You're alive, I'm alive.
I'm
Everything
still
is
kicking
under
for a
control.
few more years. Right, well, you, and he'll look over to Terra and say, why don't you help Valen with his little chest? I'll help Jinchi over with the other pincers over here.
From the other pincers, you guys. That. Who wants it? Who wants all that pincer?
I'm good, my inventory's almost full.
All right, Jin,
Well, not full, just my weight limit is almost passed.
Jin, you're getting all the pincer parts.
Yes.
All
I
right.
don't have sufficient permission to look this item.
Okie dokie.
What does the chest have to offer?
So you go to open the chest, and it is locked, but the lock looks so old that after wiggling it, the rust just kind of like it just falls apart. And within the chest, you find a silver ingot and a gold pendant.
What would Tara like to acquire?
I mean, I'll take the jewelry if you don't want it.
I mean, you've earned it.
All right.
Thanks.
There are 2 more crates left in this area, but after that, you guys are completed.
Does anyone in particular
Um,
want to be the one to loot the crates, or we just kind of want to do it?
I mean, I'll grab one of them. Is it that pile and that one?
Yep. Tara, you grab one of the piles, and Valen grabs the other. Oh my god, Valen. Well, Tara
Just like
finds
a
4
wonder,
candles
like
in her and is super stoked. And then Valen turns
Candles are cool.
around and holding in his hands, he has an acid rune stone. All right. Cool, guys. Well, you've just cleared the cave of the pincer threat. The queen has moved in, but you've quickly put an end to its nest. Where would you guys like to go, or what would you like?
Well, at the very least, we want to leave the cave, perhaps take a bit of a breather, a rest, some might say, so we can recuperate ourselves after such an encounter, and then head and inform the mayor, the duke,
Jarl.
the
Lord.
jarl,
Or
or
lord? No, they are lords, I think. Right? Are they
Lord.
lords? Or
I
they
wrote
jarl?
down Lord.
I mean, lord's also like a generic term for some noble person. Because Valen he calls himself
Oh,
Lord
that's right.
Valen.
No, I think lords in the Analt territory they're lords, and in the human territories it's jarls.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we want to leave the cave, take a bit of a rest, perhaps on the beach, recover a little bit, relax, and then make our way back to the Lord.
yeah, sure. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Let's like just collect this reward and head back to the inn. We still have that murder mystery to solve.
All right. You guys leave the cave. The brightness of outside is blinding, but after you adjust, you see that it is like the evening time of the day. It's already passed you by so quick. What would you like to do?
Well, do we turn in the reward first, or should we rest first?
I think we should rest. We could turn them both in at the same time.
I
Aye,
don't think
then.
that another pincer queen will appear in the night. So let's rest a little. You almost died, Felix.
If we head over to the inn, are you gonna be all right, Tara? I believe your
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 fiance.
admirer is
Oh.
gonna be working there. Sorry to remind you. I didn't mean to do that.
No. I've got to figure that out at some point. I hope whatever's affecting him wears off soon, then he'll be back to his senses, but it'll be fine. We can rest and I'll figure that out tomorrow.
Hey, then let's head back over to the inn.
To the inn we go. All right, you guys come back in. How's over there? All right, you come back to the inn. Familiar scent of, ale and roasted meats and all the cozy incense and all the goodness. It's very cozy.
I think once we get back and my attention is drawn back to this situation again, I kind of approach Theo.
He is staring at the wall in the exact same position you left him in.
I almost feel bad. Is everything he said true? Back home?
Explain that to me. What do you mean?
So Theo and her dad had said like things were really bad and there's like pirates attacking the trade ships and her sister was killed and like this whole sob story that everything's gone wrong back home and your return can fix it. Blah 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 blah.
I mean, as far as you know, yeah.
Well, she's asking Theo.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
He turns to you out
No
of
pleasantries.
almost snapped out of his comatose state, and he goes, "Oh, it's you. Whatever your actual name was."
Asteria.
Asteria. Oh, it's you. I've been waiting here, just like you said.
Wow.
And he looks at you, and he's just like, he kind of reaches out to put one hand on your shoulder, and he goes, "Yes."
Nope.
Oh, okay. And he kind of like awkwardly pulls his hands back. He goes, yes, everything I've told you back home is true. He's just like, that is why we traveled all this way to this backwoods town in this horrible continent to try to find you, to bring you home. Our marriage will cement our family is at the head of Arcadia. And he goes off on one of his like big, long, elaborate tandems, almost not making any sense. But the premise of it is like the two of you are going to be like a powerhouse in Arcadia.
That isn't making a lot of sense to me, buddy. Have you eaten at all anything today?
And he looks and he says, no, I don't think I'm allowed to eat unless you tell me to.
Oh my god.
Fantastic. Please,
He looks, he goes, I will
Please.
die for you.
Oh,
literally don't want that. Please eat some food.
He goes, of course, anything you say. And he looks at
Drink water.
at
How
Leora.
specific do I have to be?
He says, bring
Can
me
you take
food
care of yourself?
and bring me water.
Be
looks-
nice to them.
He looks and he says, only if you tell me to. Anything you say, I will do. And he
Okay.
looks and he's like, I'm sorry, Pointy Elf. I did not mean to be rude, but bring me water and try not to touch it with your bare nasty elf hands.
Stop it. I said you have to be nice to them.
While Valen is walking over to the to the owner of the inn, Felix will gently tap him on the leg to get his attention and say, while she was busy with her admirer, I asked her for the best bottle. Give this to Terra and Jinshi, and treat yourself with it as well. I think all three of you deserve it.
Well, thank you. I'm sure we'll quite enjoy it. Sure you don't want to have some yourself?
If it was me when I was younger 10 years ago, I would happily love some, but I believe I've mellowed out. I'd rather much enjoy some good tea.
Well, to each their own. I'm sure we can split this bottle more or less evenly.
Hey. And he'll... I'm gonna see real quick if I can make a stealth check. Oh, I stumble across the
Yeah.
bar instead. Just cartoonish crash noises. Ow.
No one saw that?
I mean, he's...
I promise.
I mean, he's still bad after that pincer.
Theo finishes scarfing down his food, almost choking on it, how quickly he does it, and stands back up and he goes, I have completed your task. And just stares at you blankly with like just a dull haze over his eyes.
Fantastic. You know, it would probably be great if you got a good night's rest.
Ah, of course. Anything you say. I will be waiting for you in the bed. And he comes over here and
oh, what
opens
the
opens the door and crawls in there with
Perfect. He
Al.
sleeps in that room. I look at the others. I'm not sharing a room with him.
I'm glad. Like, how would you marry someone like that?
Well, I didn't marry him, and that's not how he usually is. My father's done something to him.
He's worst?
No. We were in agreement when I left. He didn't want to marry me either.
But, well, now he seems profoundly in love with you.
Yeah, like I said, I think my father's done something, but I don't know how long it'll take to wear off.
You see
I'm
him
hoping by morning.
stumble out of the door in a familiar sleepwalking that you were used to
Oh my god.
when you were with him. Except he comes out and just kind of looks at everyone blankly, and he just says, what is this? Who are you? And then he looks over at Tara and goes, Asteria? And the second he says her name, you notice that same glaze pop over his eyes. He just goes, and he like wakes back up. He goes, oh, that's right, a nap or whatever he told me to do. And then he runs back in and crawls in bed and immediately goes back to sleep.
Can we lock the door from the outside? Is that a thing that can happen?
Leora looks and she says, oh, of course. She comes
Please,
over.
it would be best for everybody.
She
if those
locks
two are
the door
contained
with
for the
Hal
night.
and Theo in there. He comes back over. She's like, that boy was rather annoying.
I apologize.
She just goes, oh, it's okay. He might have hair in his food tomorrow. I don't know, maybe these dirty elf hands will drop some in there. She just kind of like shrugs and
Hey, Valen,
Yeah.
want me to see if I can fix your rapier?
Oh, can you do that?
I don't know. I can try though. I have a spell that can fix things. I just don't know the extent of the damage of your weapon. If it is feasible, but I'd be happy to try.
Well, that would save me some time. I may also have a means of doing it, but it makes a bit more preparation. So if you're able to have a seat, actually, Felix purchased a bottle of wine for the three of us to share this evening after our success.
That's generous. Did he leave?
Who, Jin?
He,
As
No, Felix.
Oh.
'Cause I
as
see his tokens
as
outside the inn.
as she asks that aloud, Felix is kind of just minding his own business with a smile. He pulls out a very old and worn-looking smoking pipe, and he pulls out a tinderbox, gently lighting some tobacco, and he's just gonna, because he doesn't want to, bring smoke into the establishment. He just quietly smokes outside and finds reflection and happiness in looking at the past.
I almost thought you were going to light up some of this.
Nope. We don't have that. And Felix would not have that.
Valen does. But that's neither here nor there.
He's gonna save that for a special occasion.
Basically. But yeah, Valen will go ahead and pull out the rapier. I'm not actually sure the kind of damage that it has been done to it. Like if it's broken in
Well,
broken in half.
What
or
ability
kind
were
of
you talking about, Tara?
Literally, it's just mending.
A single breaker
So-
turn an object. Valen, why don't you roll a d20 to see how much damage it does? Under a 10, it's just like a little hairline fracture. Over 10, it's like pretty significant.
Ooh.
I think it's a 20, right?
Yeah.
Oh, do you say D20 or D10?
D20, if it's 10 or less, it's a little break. If
Right.
it's 10 or greater, or 11 or greater, it's a big
Reroll.
break.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, it's just a little nick. I would say that it could be repaired with mending.
Okay. So I'll look it over and sit down and just spend a little bit of time casting mending and just piecing it back together. However many minutes that might take. While I do it, though, I will make the two guys listen to me tell them the tale of the dragon, since I said I would tell it.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. In your mere mention of this tale, it caused me to regurgitate flame. Not twice, in fact. Interesting ability? Spell?
Well, given that your message is too long. Hold on. As I'm trying to copy paste you guys the actual story.
Oh,
Let me.
Discord might be I don't know what the character limit in the chat is.
No, it's too long even for Discord, so I'm just trying. I'm
Oh.
gonna two-part it. There. Well, as a wizard, you better than most people would understand the power that words have when put to the right order. So I'm sure you can imagine the power that whole stories might have.
I mean, I am a very powerful mage, and you are right to know that I could suss that kind of thing out. However, I'm not accustomed to the telling of tales to manipulate the arcane weave. I'm more accustomed to incantations, usually in various languages. No, tales are new for me.
A whole new kind of magic. As I finish repairing his rapier, and I just kind of push it back over to him.
He takes it and like gives it a real scrutinous look over. Perhaps there's a sense of like, does he trust a human's magic to truly work on an elven weapon? And after close examination, it seems to be in working order. And he'll go give it a few swipes and flourishes around. It kind of seems like, this is acceptable. Thank you. You saved me some time. This is a rather expensive and precious heirloom, so to speak, of mine. I'm glad to have it back in working order. Put it back in his scabbard.
Happy to help. Um, Last thing Tara will do is she's just going to take out her Taraka deck and just do a quick reading for herself. And that'll be the last thing she does before bed.
Does anybody else have anything they want to do before they take a little snooze?
I will wait when Felix comes back to the common room, and then I will
Yeah.
talk.
I would say Felix enjoys his smokes while they all. Oh, coins.
Coins.
Sorry, just me. I'm just doing my card reading.
It's okay.
For fun.
It's okay. I was gonna say, I was kind of thinking that like Felix lets them all enjoy the wine, the storytelling, and once they all start to tire out, he'll enjoy the last of the smoke, just like fluff the air by throwing his ball around, just to keep it out, and then he'll just slowly enter once they're all starting to wrap up, and when Valen and Tara are ready for bed.
He's fucking Gandalf, man.
I think while at least the three of them at the moment are at the table, Valen will go ahead and pull out from his bag and satchel some of the various things he managed to acquire from the chest, crate, and the creature itself. And he'll go ahead and kind of push the large pincer that he claimed from the giant creature towards Jin Shi and just let him know, I know you had some trouble with that beast back there. Its claws were formidable, but it seems if you so choose, you may be able to use it as a weapon yourself. And then he'll go ahead and just kind of overlay what this thing actually does in case it's something he has interest in putting around with him.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Actually. I will look at the pincer queen gauntlet. I will analyze it, run my finger through it, and I will. This seems a formidable piece of natural art, I would say. I guess that I would make good use of it, unless Felix wants.
Suddenly from behind Valen just, oh no, I don't think I'd be doing good to swing in with that with one arm. It looks more your size anyway. It's not mine off if I tried to wear it.
And
You don't suppose
you can
you don't
go
suppose either of you could I don't know. You both of you are having hand or lack thereof issues, if I'm not mistaken. Is there a way either of you can, I don't know, attach it as some kind of prosthetic, perhaps? Actually, I'm picturing Felix now with a giant claw hand, and it's hilarious.
Felix is just gonna look at Valen, look at his paw, and just go. Let's do this kind of motion with his hand. I don't think I could hold a sword doing that.
Clicked, clacked.
Well, you already hold the blade in your actual arm, do you not?
No, I keep it sheathed to my back, and I wield it with my one good paw.
Could you not find a means to attach the gauntlet to your other arm? As like a, you don't have a hand, here's one for you, let me give you a hand.
He's gonna pull the cake back nervously and show that there's just like a stitch and like a clump of shirt and just say like, there isn't much arm to work with.
Ew. Oh, I mean, right, I see your point. Very well.
Well, speaking
I see
about
what you did there.
speaking about arms, Felix, I got curious. How did you lose yours?
He'll gently sit down at the table, and because he had a smoke before this, he's a lot more jovial, and he smiles throughout telling the story, but he leans forward and he says, "Read your tale. Imagine, if you would, walking through the beautiful steps and trails of terrain in Adoria, near the village towards the warm fires of Torch. Imagine me, much younger, without the wrinkles, 2 arms, good legs, and the ability to swing. And he pulls out his first sword and gently puts it on the table, the one with slits and holes in it with rectangles, and say, when a young Felix could wield this beautiful thing with both of his arms and leave things in two. I was walking down the trail one day to go over to Terrain and celebrate one of my victories with one of the good folks from the village there. We had plans and everything. Good ale. There were some local village girls that wanted to see us. They would yell and swoon and say the nicest things, and I was happy and excited. And then I saw across the way another man in a cowl. A strange fella that I know as the man in red. I can't describe to you what he looked like, but he only wore red, a bit similar to me. I don't know if he was shorter or taller than me, but I remember that he took a step up to
Well,
me.
it is difficult for him to be smaller than you, but go ahead.
It's alright. I remember though, when he stopped in front of me, he simply told me this. May the greater hero win. And
Ooh.
me being the jolly old soul, the cocky one, the one that had everything to prove and was greater than most would know in the small area of Adoria, especially in Terrain. I took him up on that challenge with glee and cocksure. I threw a few insults, a few jabs, a few words about his mother. I'd rather not say it at my age, but I was happy and I was excited to fight him. And there was the first strike. Then came the second, third, the fourth, the fifth. Sparks flying in orange along with the torchlight, glowing the area and the trails. And within a flash, I remember I took one good step back after feeling a force and a glint of silver come across my right side, and I looked over and I saw my arm just sitting there on the trail, bleeding from the stump and gushing blood from the hole from the other side. I remember then having to stand there, crouched down, holding onto my arm for dear life and looking at the man in red. There were a lot of things going through my mind, a lot of things racing through it. And I had to make a choice at that time. Do I preserve my ego and I go off and try to take care of myself, or do I admit defeat and do I show myself to the village? The hero that they love so much, the one that they sent to fight werewolves and cubes, monsters and zombies that rose from Masaduma, a protector, a hero in green, a great swordsman. And instead I caved. I ran off into the forest, into the wild, without me arm, only with me sword. And the man never showed up again. I made myself a little hut, a little shelter, became a hermit for a very long time. I count about 10, maybe 15 years. I don't know. At one point I stopped marking the tree and stopped making count of how many days I had lost. Eventually my name, my title, it became something of I guess you could say a fairy tale. It would be something that Tara would read occasionally every few times as she came across an Adoria. Something that other adventurers, I remember sometimes when I would spy on them, it would be a beautiful tale that they would weave about my adventures that they say across the campfire. Some bards used to sing songs in the tavern, and I remember this one mother, the sweetest soul. She would always tell her kids before night the adventures I'd go on. I don't think she would even remember me if I came across, though. It's been a long time during those times, though. One that I found content and peace with. I'm okay with being where I am now. I'd much rather be with you, lovely folks in Halof, than have to go back there.
So as you're telling your story, you notice that the
That's one
entire
hell of a
inn is
story.
surrounded, you enthralled. They start whispering. They're like, "That's him. That's the green swordsman." Yeah. This one runs up and asks for an autograph.
Oh, there's no need, friend. I don't... those times are long behind me.
Ugh, how rude. Just rolls its eyes and goes back over and joins.
Felix
You
isn't
know,
even
I am
hurt. He
the
just smiles.
I'm the heir of the House Alundir. My pen hand is available for anyone who's so inclined.
Everyone in the room just looks at you with a blank face and giggles and just ignores you.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
that's one hell of a story. Do you know where this man in red is right now?
Felix will look over to Jinshi with a smile mixed of just natural zen and also a little bit of the tobacco speaking, but he says, if they were still around, they would have showed up again in Adoria or somewhere here. I don't care anymore. I found peace with what happened on that night. It was a great lesson for me that made me understand my place in Talmin and my ego. I'm okay with where I am, and I find peace that wherever they are, whether they be alive or dead, I just hope the man in red is happy.
So, that man took your arm, took your life, took everything that you was, everything that your village had, and you like just forgive him. You don't seek vengeance. You don't seek reckoning.
Felix shakes his head at Jinshi and he says, no, if I were to live that way, I wouldn't be the same man that I would be today. Who would want to surround themselves in such vengeance and anger? I swear
Well,
if I had done that, I would have grown many more wrinkles.
well, who you say? I'm not going to call you weak, but I cannot say that this is something that I can understand. But
Felix
right,
will
you can go
Felix will
ahead.
point at Jinshi, interrupting him, and he'll say, Jinshi, no, you can call me weak. That was what I was in that moment. If I wasn't weak, I would have stayed and fight. Or I would have done the smart thing and gone over to the village, bit my tongue, swallowed my pride, and accepted their help in healing. They probably would have done it. But I was too stubborn to go ask them for help.
And
So-
you, go ahead, Isaac.
I was just gonna say, as Felix tells you this humble story, and you guys have this little bonding moment over the table, you guys are all so inspired by that story that I'll grant everybody here a DM inspiration if you already have one.
Yes, yes, yes.
Felix will then say, though, it's okay. It's something that I had to spend a lot of time thinking about and working on. If it had never have happened, I don't think I would be the same man that I am today. I wouldn't be donning the clothes on my back, wielding the sword that I have, or even learning how to fight with one arm in general.
Well, I lost my arm. I put another in place, and well, I now seek the person who took my arm to kill her. So I guess everyone followed its own path, I think. But yeah, it was a long day. We fought. Some of us nearly died. I guess we call it a night.
Well, if you guys haven't already, you can go ahead and long rest if you purchased a key. You're able to use the rooms and all.
Felix will show his key and say to Jinshi, you and me can take a room for tonight. Let Valen and Tara take their own room.
Yeah, I got my key already. So
You guys really don't have to go in the rooms, the spirit of it.
Out of a moment though, if Jinshi and Felix go into their own bedroom with each other, Felix will gently sit down on the bed and start kicking his legs. But when Jinshi is starting to once he actually gets all of his armor and stuff off, he'll speak up, clear his throat, and he'll say, "Is everything gonna be all right after what happened today? You were in a fit of panic when you were fighting the pincers at one moment, and I know." And he'll kind of like in a cocky sense, smirk, looking away, and then look at Jinshi, and he'll say, I know Valen was talking out of his asshole when he was speaking about doing most of the work. I know that slash and that handiwork anywhere when I see a queen pincer look like that. That was all you, wasn't it?
well, I can say that you were not an observer. Yeah, it was me. I just like don't I, well, let's just say that on strike, like I strike like that, usually gets a lot of attention, and attention is something that I can't afford right now. Vaden can. He's a noble. He deserves every attention he can get, but not me. I'm staying on low profile for a while,
Hey, that's
and
fine. That's
about the pincers. Well, they like just grappled me, hold me, and that reminded me of some bad times, I guess. That's what happened. Well, let's just say that there was words back there. It did not help. It was a hard
Felix.
day.
Felix will hop off the bed and he'll like gently poke you with the end with like the hilt of his sword and just like hit the
Hey,
sternum of your chest to give you a little cough. He'll look at you and he'll gently tap it
that
against your
hurts.
chest this time and say, "We, you and me, we need to start working. You rely too much on your armor and you rely too much on your swing. You could do with starting to learn how to use one of your arms the best as you can. You could start learning how to defend yourself a lot better. You strike hard, you strike true. You have a spite and spirit behind you. But you let that spirit get to your head, and you leave yourself open to get nicked. How about this? He'll he'll look over and he'll start scratching his beard and he says, when we start getting free time after this whole business, a spare hour or two, we'll find a place, we'll take some time, grab some wooden sticks, and we'll practice like boys out in the yard as if we're young. I'll teach you some of the things that I know that can help better defend yourself, so that things like that don't happen again. You can strike well, Jinshi, but you also owe it to yourself to protect your own sake."
Oh well, I guess I was raised to protect others, I think. My brother, my battalion. But I guess that knowing one thing or two more would not hurt. Oh, thinking about taking some practice swords and running around takes me back when I was a boy training within the army. That was right after, well, it does not matter after what. But I accept your offer, Felix. I guess I never fought someone so small, but I guess that it has first time for everything in life.
There's always a first time for everything. And there's also a first time you could start using this. Felix is gonna pull out the Holy Avenger Scimitar and offer it to Jinji.
Well, I look at the scimitar. It is amazing. It is well crafted, but it is a little bit light for me. Do you understand
You
what I
too?
say?
So I wasn't the only one. I thought it was too light for me too.
I yeah, like it is just like Valen's rapier. It is just too light. I I can't get myself used to that, and I tried up in the army, but no. Giant sword is what makes me try, makes my heart beat. Actually,
This one close to yourself. Take some time to learn it and take some time to swing it. It'd be better in your hands swinging it than my paws.
I have a secondary sword with me, so I really appreciate your gift, Felix. But it is a small sword, better suited for someone your size.
Here, in the spirit of
You
moving
sure
the
of that?
game ahead, let's.
Yep.
Felix will nod then and say, "Alright then." And he'll sheathe the Holy Avenger Scimitar and say, "Then let's head off to bed. And in our adventure, we'll find you some special magic person that will maybe give your sword something special."
I would like that, but right now I just want some sleep. It was a long, hard day.
Well, everyone nuzzles into bed and has a nice sleep. The morning comes and the sun peeks through the windows, and as you all awake, even though you're refreshed from a night of sleep, deep down there's a part of you that feels like The sleep did not really satisfy any of your tiredness. Makes sense? As if you guys are slowly
It's getting stronger.
So it's the
Oh.
morning time, and you guys just hear beating on the locked door over here. Just someone banging on it.
Oh.
You see Leora on the other side. Theo's on the inside of the door, just banging and banging and banging, pleading his case as to how he has to be let out. And Leora's just looking on the other side of the door, but not saying anything, as if she doesn't hear him.
Let him out just a little bit. You can get him back in the cage after a while.
She goes, are you sure? She's like, in
Just
my
for
experience,
his
humans are
ups-
best locked up on the other side of the door.
Just for, well, he's better locked behind some cell bars, but anyway, just for him to stop screaming.
She goes and unlocks the door. Oh, and he runs out, gagging and gasping. And he looks up to Tara and he goes, Asteria, your friend in there, he smells so bad.
I would tell you to be nice, but I feel like that might actually be a legit complaint.
He goes,
All
"Ugh."
right. Have some breakfast and I don't know, eat something.
Of course. Anything you say. And he like
Mhm.
sits down and begins to meticulously start eating as if that is his greatest purpose at this moment.
So, you'll know what time it is. It's time to make tea.
Valen, do you know how to
Yes.
dispel magic?
Do we know how to dispel magic? It's something I'm working on. It's a little more difficult than I would have liked to admit, but I'm close, but it's not quite mastered yet.
Just wondering. I don't know what to do for him.
Leora hears you and kind of, after feeding him, comes down and says, you know, I've definitely seen this before. She's like, this is definitely the work of a powerful sorcerer. She's like, if you could somehow find a way to take him to a sorcerer at the same power level, I guess, they might be able to help you in figuring out what's going on with him. Because it's definitely not natural. That look in his eyes, something about it.
Thank you for the tip. We'll just have to keep our eyes open.
Oh, of course. The sooner you can get him out of this inn, the better. I'm so
I'll
sick of
take
hearing
him with me today. I won't make him stay with you.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's not fair to you.
Theo finishes his food and shoots up and runs back over to you. And he's just like, today, I will lay down my life in defense of you, and goes off on one of his large tangents.
I'm sorry. Misclick.
It's all right. All right. Well, with Theo joining your party, it's a beautiful morning. Where would you guys like to go, or what would you like to?
We need to get the reward, if I remember correctly.
Wasn't there another quest that we were trying to solve? Like, weren't there two things we were trying to do?
Yeah,
I thought there was-
I grabbed this from the notice board. Something about a murder.
Right, at the actual like resort, there was a murder.
Yeah, at the Crucible Resort. Well, but first, let's get our reward from, well, killing the Pincer Queen, since she almost killed us. And then we head to the Crucible Resort.
All right, guys. So everybody is sleeping and snoozing. Here's your you guys are all right. You guys step out. It's another beautiful day in Crystal Shoals, man. The air just smells of the sweet greenery of the jungle and the ocean. It's just very, very beautiful. You guys want to go to the keep? Is that where we're heading?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or no, or are we gonna investigate the murder mystery first at the resort?
I think we should investigate first, because then we can just turn in both at the same time instead of back and forth.
All right, to the Crystal Cove Resort. It's murder in paradise. All right, are we ready?
Murder where? I'm sorry?
Your guys' tokens are. Let's see. Get Felix. Jen. All right. As you step into the Crystal Cove Resort, you are immediately enveloped in an atmosphere of unparalleled relaxation. The air is fragrant with the intoxicating blend of fresh flowers and artisanal soaps, crafting an ambience of serene luxury. Light pours in through large floor to ceiling windows, casting the expansive lobby in a warm, welcoming glow. Despite its grandeur, the resort is almost eerily quiet, usual hustle and bustle conspicuously absent. The only occupants are a few guards stationed discreetly at the entrance, their presence more a formality than a necessary or necessity in this tranquil haven. Behind are standing next to the fountain, from what is why did I behind the fountain from what appears to be made of shimmering crystal stands a figure that embodies the grace of the resort itself. He is a Kalendor elf, his presence almost ethereal in the soft light, dressed in an elegant white suit that complements his slender, statuesque form. He exudes an air of refined sophistication. As you guys approach, he lifts his gaze from a ledger, his eyes a striking shade of azure. Did I type that? That doesn't sound like something I typed.
Azure.
Azure, meeting theirs with a polite but distant warmth. Oh, I'm sorry, we are closed, he announces.
Sorry to bother you. We are with the Adventurers Guild. We came to help with the investigation.
Ah,
We picked up the documents.
finally. They finally sent somebody out besides these useless royal guards. And he says it to the guard, and the guard just like rolls his eyes.
Oh.
He comes down to greet you, and he says, "Ha! I am Winston Winran. If you couldn't tell, I am a Kalendor elf. If you couldn't tell by my elegant clothes and my Kalendor jewelry." He kind of like flaunts all of his like. I'm glad you're here to solve the murder. Last night there was a tragedy amongst us, or not last night. I don't know when. It was a couple nights ago, I think. I don't remember when it happened. He said, but unfortunately, the man that was murdered was no other than Baylor Geraldine, the esteemed romance novelist. Tragedy to see a novelist just much like myself get murdered right here under our own noses.
Well, I guess this is not good for reputation.
He says, it's terrible. The Lord has shut down the resort in the midst of its peak season. They won't let me reopen it until they figure out what's going on.
Where did the murder take place? Can we see the area?
He says it took place last night in one of the pool room. I don't know what to call that room. The pool room. Pool room B. He's like, you're more than welcome to take a look. Feel free to wander around the resort. He's just like, it just seems like such a waste. He's like, I've tried to practice my alchemy in making all these new soaps and potions that are just going to waste. Can't you smell them? And you're like,
Oh, it is quite nice.
he says, thank you.
Lovely.
It's like, I would hate to call myself a master, but I do know my way around some potions.
Felix will look over to the party and say, "You know, I've heard fancy things about Costa del Sol, but this place is immaculate." Right, well, we might have start headed over to the swimming lounge then, shall we?
Winston looks at you guys. He says, before you investigate, I might recommend talking to the Royal Guard. He's collected evidence and does like the finger quotations. He's like, it might help you in your journey, but the quicker we can get this murder solved, the quicker I can get this place up and running. And that means profits. You can't be a Kalendor elf in the land of a not elf without having a little bit of money. Over to the fountain.
Felix will then approach the royal guard with a paw and say, "Well then, well met, good sir. I be Felix, just a small lad in a small place. The good man Wernan said that you have evidence."
He's basically a Jew. Sure. If that's what's relevant, sure.
No, you kidding? Hey, Lynn.
It's dumb. All right. The detective, he walks up and he's just like, well, I'm glad you're here. This is such a stumper. We don't really know what's going on, but we have narrowed it down to 3 individuals that we've kept here. We haven't let them leave. They should be off somewhere enjoying them. Who we've narrowed it down to are Baylor's ex-lover Clarissa Havelock, his rival novelist Thalion Nala, and Henry Erin, who he's just here, I guess. he's he's just there. Here, I will go ahead and give you what we have found. And he reaches in his pocket and pulls out a little box of murder evidence, and hands it to Felix. And he says, "It will be up to you to question the 3 suspects and get to the bottom of who the murderer actually is. Come back and report to me with what you find out. I trust that as Adventure Guild representatives, you will do fine work."
Which one was the other novelist?
Thalion
Thalion. Okay.
Nala.
Can you write that down?
It's okay. I think me and Tara are both writing it down right now.
That's his name.
All right. So he's the novelist, the rival, right?
Yes, they are both romance novelists, apparently, the Royal Guard says. And he's like, but I don't read that kind of crap. But I hear that he's one of the best romance novelists, and then goes on telling you all these details that only somebody that would have read his books would understand. I think he's reinforcing the fact that he doesn't read those books.
Then, it looks like so far, Felix will show everyone the murder evidence, and he says, "We've got a letter. There seems to be some poison in a bottle and a necklace that's broken. Here, and he'll also show everyone the note and what it reads.
Do you want to actually read it for the stream?
Under the veil of night, this decree whispers of a silent reckoning. Baylor Gradelin, hear now the echo of your fate. A draught of vengeance awaits you, a bitter elixir for the theft of what was once held dear. A shadow has been cast, a promise of retribution for deeds veiled in secrecy. The scales of justice stir, ready to balance the debt of the past marred by greed. In the quiet before the storm, know that the chalice of your doom is prepared, a silent witness to the righting of wrongs."
Very colorful, if you ask me.
All right. Winston runs up to the group. He says, by any chance, are any of you mages? He kind of like notices Valen.
Felix will immediately point over to Valen.
He is.
He goes,
I
perfect.
see my reputation.
Could you possibly help me out, good lad? I've just noticed that I've torn a small hole in my jacket, and these are unique, elaborate Kalendor clothing. They're very rare on this side of the world. I figured that you might have a mending spell to help me.
Well, you see, you caused me an inopportune day, as it were. I actually had need of the spell myself just yesterday, but a good subordinate of mine managed to handle this scenario on their end, so I didn't bother preparing that particular spell this morning. However, you may check with the human over there, Tara. She may be able to assist you with your tatters.
The human? And he looks over at her. He goes, never mind. I'll figure it out myself. And he walks back over frustrated. Back to the
Felix
fountain.
Don't worry.
stares at him.
Don't worry, Tara. I don't believe he's worth your magic anyway.
Subordinate?
I didn't know the correct term I should use. Colleague, perhaps?
Colleague is sufficient.
Very well. I shall attempt to remember that in the future. All right. Guard. What's your name again?
Me?
Yes.
My name is Etherean Royal Guard Jerry.
Jerry. A proud and elven name.
Yep. Yes.
Well, Jerry, beyond the evidence you've supplied with us so far, what makes you think these 3 individuals you've held here are most likely responsible? Just by being here?
He says, well, of all the people that were here last night, those were the only 3 that couldn't keep their stories straight. But trying to figure out which one it was, they all have their own alibi and their own connection. So...
What's Winston doing while we're talking to the guard?
He is over there by the fountain, just kind of like frustratingly trying to fix the little hole that's in his
Okay,
jacket.
he's not paying attention to us.
No.
So if I kind of come a little closer so I can speak softer.
Okay.
Were those the only 3 people who were here? Was Winston here perhaps?
He says, "Oh no, there was several other guests, but we've cleared all of them. Winston, he does what Winston always does, and was going around, or his story says he was just going around, helping folks, delivering, towels, doing whatever menial tasks you do. Apparently, something about a shipment of herbs came in last night that he had to help sort out. I don't know. Winston's a great guy, though. He's a great guy. So I wouldn't consider him a suspect at all. He's just a stand-up
Sure.
guy.
Sure he is.
Was
I
it-
would like to approach Winston.
All right. He's over there playing around with the hole, and he comes up and he like takes a sniff and he turns around and he goes, "Ugh, human blood, the stench. What do you want?"
Insight check terror real quick. 15.
All right. What are you looking for?
How pissed is she?
I
She is refraining from casting the spells that she would really like to cast on him.
I
Felix is
want
gonna quickly. Felix is gonna see like that reflected in her walk and quickly pat like Valen and Jinshi and start dragging him over to the pool hall. Just like, all right, let's go over here now. Come on, got the investigation to do.
I want to stand side by side with Tara. I will put my
All
hand
right.
on her shoulder.
Mr. Winrin, I'm afraid I haven't had the luxury of getting to read any of your books. You said you're also an aspiring novelist.
He said, amateur novelist. I haven't published anything, but I do enjoy the artistry of a good romance novel, and like proceeds to go into this detailed description about like lovers and how it's so great, and but you can tell he has a
Of
passion
course.
for it.
Of course. Also, what's his face is technically with us, Theo. So, however he's reacting to this whole
Oh.
situation,
Theo is here, isn't he?
unfortunately, I did bring him along. Um,
Yes, he comes running in. I'm here. Runs up as well.
too close. Big
Okay.
step backward.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Where you're not published yet, but of course you're in the process of being published. I can't imagine the story that you've just the glimpse you've given just sounds so intriguing. I'd love to buy it as soon as it's available.
Oh, of course. Unfortunately, talking to Baylor was supposed to be my big break, but unfortunately, with him gone, I guess we'll just have to go with the other guy that I mentioned,
Thalion.
Thalion. Yes,
Sally.
Is
He
he,
also-
not as good as Baylor? I'm also not familiar with.
he goes. You're not familiar with the great Baylor, the one that wrote Two Hearts on the Misty Sea?
No.
Is that something I might have heard about?
It is. It's a very
Oh.
popular book.
Oh, that Baylor. Oh my gosh, I haven't read that book in a while. I completely forgot that was him.
Yes, it's one of the greats. Thalion could never write something like that. Thalion's stuff is always just a little too, what's the word? Cheesy. Doesn't feel authentic.
Of course. That ruins everything.
Yes.
I know you would have preferred my friend to be able to help you, but truly, if you would allow me the honors, I'd love to help repair your fine clothing. I'd hate for you to go around with such an unsightly blemish.
He goes, normally I wouldn't accept help from a human, but he's like, this is my favorite jacket. Do with it what you will. He kind of like takes it off and holds it out.
As I go to cast mending on it, can I tell? I mean, I'll ask him, but I'm also trying to check to make sure his story fits. What happened to tear such beautiful material? These are so nicely made. It must have been something terrible.
He says, I don't know. I just discovered it's not too long ago. One of the guards pointed it out and embarrassed me.
Oh, so like them.
Yes, the Analt. And then he kind of looks over at Jinshi and goes, are the greatest, most special elves, the rightful rulers of the Empire, is what I meant to say.
Uh, you meant to say that the Inalt elves are the might and the rightful rulers of the whole world, but I accept.
Yes, he is. He took the words right out of my mouth. Those Analt elves, they have a way with words, don't they?
Oh, they certainly have a way of many things.
And by the way, my well, do you happen to have any of Baylor books around here? Like some scripts, something that I can read.
Um,
Maybe, well, perhaps there is some clue in there. I don't know.
Here you can have one of his romance novels, and he drops it on the floor in a crate.
Thank you. Let me check. I let me check this time.
I mean, there is the book, and I dropped it. I don't really know what you're looking at the book
Yeah.
though. I don't have anything written for it.
Oh no. Off game. Jinshi just loves like these cheese romance books and all that sort of stuff, but no one knows that.
She just wants to read enemies to lovers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Disney and enemies to lovers,
Um,
and
okay.
like he starts it and reading the book right off the bat, right away. Forget completely forget the word outside of him.
While I'm repairing the tear and asking him about it, and he's talking about the book, can I tell how, like, what is it, like a tear, like it got caught on something, or did it, like, did someone try to stab it? Like, can I tell
it looks like it got caught
anything
on
about it?
something, and it like a big chunk of fabric is like removed from the cloth.
Okay,
But nothing like too suspicious, anything like
that's
that.
okay. I'm just checking. Just vibes. Um, I'll I'll spend a however long to repair it, and then I'll use prestidigitation to like make sure it looks very clean and matches the rest of the jacket, and everything is on the up and up. And then I hold it up and show him.
Oh, very good work. He looks at Valen and goes, "Ah, your thralls do well, I see." Checking and puts it back on. He goes, "A little tight, but what kind of work could you expect from a human?" And he says that and notices that it offends you a little bit, and then is just like, "Oh, where are my manners? I'm sorry. Thank you."
Oh, he knows how to say thank you.
He goes, "Of course,
I
hospitality is literally my business."
I cannot assume
Doing so great at
something
it.
for
Thank you.
lesser elves.
Uh he's just like kind of just takes that one on the head.
She is reading like all the basic.
Well, you guys are in the main lobby. Do you want to progress further inside? It is 10:12, so I didn't know how much longer you guys wanted to go for. We could probably go for another 15, 20 minutes.
I kind of do have to wrap it up here. It is getting late.
Yeah, now is also a good time.
Yeah, sounds good.
Alright.
It's 2 a.m. for me, so
Probably an okay time to wrap it up then.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let me do a little outro real quick. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank all the players for playing. Outside of our little hiccup, I'll try to recover the first half of the recording. But if not, at least you guys get this half. But yeah, what a fantastic session 8. Appreciate you guys sticking around and watching. And we